Before the city-wide mock exam for the college entrance test, I, as usual, secured first place. My desk mate looked at me with envy. "Ethan, you're amazing. You've never dropped in rank since the first year of high school." Before I could reply, bullet comments suddenly appeared before my eyes. This supporting male character still doesn't know that everything he has is just setting the stage for the protagonist. Humph, serves him right. Why should Ethan be born with everything? Rich family, popular girls chasing after him, and a guaranteed spot at Peking University. People born at the finish line like him should lose to someone like Lucas, who's had to struggle all his life and never gives up. Hey, the system gave Lucas a cheat code. 3 chances to swap out everything the supporting role has. From then on, he'll rise to the top. My heart skipped a beat, and I almost couldn't hold back the smile tugging at my lips. Wasn't this a godsend? Chapter 1. When the overall rankings for the city-wide mock exam were posted, my name was still proudly sitting at the top of the list. The whole class surrounded me, chattering excitedly. "Ethan, your spot at Peking University is basically guaranteed. They might even contact you early. So jealous of you. Unlike us, still drowning in test prep, terrified we'll screw up the real thing." As they looked at me with eyes full of envy, I curled my lips in boredom and turned my gaze to the window, where a pair of sparrows flying freely outside caught my attention. "Ethan, you're really amazing. Your grades haven't dropped since the first year." With the ring of the class bell, the students scattered, leaving only my desk mate Lucas speaking to me in a soft voice. I pulled my attention back and looked at Lucas. He wore plain clothes and spoke to me with a trace of awkwardness. I didn't say anything. I don't deny Lucas came from hardship and studied hard to change his fate, but the effort it takes to consistently rank first is not something that can be dismissed with a casual "he comes from a good family." Waking up at 3 a.m. every morning to do practice problems, studying until 11 p.m., and only sleeping 4 hours a night, only God knows how I survived that. "I wish I were you." Lucas sighed, his expression flickering. I knew that wasn't just a casual remark, and with those bullet comments floating in the air, I realized clearly Lucas truly wanted to swap out my life for his own. "Lucas, everyone has their own path. You're not doing bad at all with your scores. Getting into a top-tier university isn't a problem. You'll have a bright future." I tried to comfort him. "What you earn with your own effort is always more reliable than what's handed to you. You wouldn't understand. Your whole life has already been planned out for you." Lucas slumped over his desk, mumbling faintly. I opened my test paper and followed along as the teacher went over the answers, no longer paying attention to him. "What you can't have will always seem better. Kind words won't save a damned soul. If Lucas really plans to use his 3 swaps on me, then don't blame me for forgetting our 3 years of friendship." Chapter 2. Actually, I had a pretty good relationship with Lucas. I was even the one who took the initiative to request sitting next to him back in our first year of high school. He stood out awkwardly in the lineup of new students. His clothes were faded from too many washes, and his dark skin made him look completely out of place among the others. The classmates around him instinctively kept their distance, whispering to each other while giving him condescending looks, occasionally letting out snickers. I frowned as I watched Lucas try to bury his head into his chest like an ostrich. Clearing my throat, I walked over and stood beside him, casting a calm gaze around the students nearby. Only then did the schoolyard bullying come to a halt. "I'm Ethan Chun. Nice to meet you," I said evenly to the still cowering Lucas. He looked up in surprise, eyes meeting mine. Clean, well-groomed, and confident, then answered with a hint of self-consciousness. "Hi, I'm Lucas." I gave him a small smile. "From now on, we're in the same class. Let's look out for each other." When the class was assigning seats, of course, no one wanted to sit with Lucas. Nobody said it outright, but the look of distaste in their eyes deeply affected this kid who had come from a rural mountain village. Standing at the front of the class again, he turned back into an ostrich. Watching him on the verge of tears, I sighed, raised my hand, and said to the teacher, "Sir, let him sit with me." Back then, Lucas's eyes were filled with gratitude. Knowing Lucas had a tough life, I didn't mind helping him out a bit more. Every day at lunch in the cafeteria, I'd ask for 2 extra meat dishes. I'd pretend I couldn't finish them and give them all to Lucas. At first, he'd feel embarrassed and try to refuse, but later, he got used to it and stopped saying anything. As soon as I handed the food over, he'd devour it like he hadn't eaten in days. Over the next 3 years, Lucas grew from a scrawny, dark-skinned country boy into a tall, strong, and energetic young man. In our second year, we had to choose between arts and sciences. Lucas made up his mind to go into the science stream just because I did. I tried to reason with him. Lucas, you should choose your own path. You're obviously better at liberal arts, why give it up? But he firmly shook his head. I can't continue in arts without you there. I'd be completely lost in the class. I wouldn't even be able to focus on studying. Ethan, only by sticking with you can I study properly. And besides, even if I struggle at first, with your help, I believe I can catch up. When I couldn't talk him out of it, I had no choice but to let it be. Chapter 3. After class, Clara came bouncing over from the class next door and placed a box of chocolates on my desk. Ethan, here, these are chocolates my parents brought back from overseas. After that, she casually leaned on my desk as she usually did and began chatting. They want you to come over this weekend. It's been a while since they last saw you. Our families had been close for generations. In fact, our marriage had been arranged since we were kids. The female lead has finally appeared, and she's as beautiful as expected. No wonder she's the campus belle. Exactly that once our boy Lucas finishes the swap and gets with her, he'll be able to climb the social ladder thanks to her powerful family. But that's for later. Lucas will wait until after college to swap out Ethan's family background to boost his career. That's when he and the girl will really be together. So he plans to swap out my family after college. I silently etched the bullet comments into my memory. Hey, Ethan, are you even listening to me? Clara waved her hand in front of my face, clearly annoyed by my lack of attention. Clara, don't blame Ethan. He's probably just under a lot of stress lately. He keeps zoning out. I've reminded him several times, but it doesn't help. I'm honestly worried that if he keeps this up, he won't be able to maintain his grades. Lucas jumped in to explain to Clara, sounding concerned on the surface, but every word was laced with thorns, implying I'd lost my focus and wasn't trying hard anymore. What does me talking to Ethan have to do with you? Clara shot back. If you're so free, worry about yourself first. Even at his worst, Ethan's still better than you. I knew Clara's temper. As a rich girl born with a silver spoon, she never had any respect for someone like Lucas, who acted like a sucked-up. Over the past 3 years, she'd often complained to me about him, telling me to stay away, even saying he brought bad luck. Someone kill me. Classic setup. The more she hates him now, the more she'll love him later. Just keep yelling, Clara. You have no idea how much you'll rely on Lucas later. I watched calmly as Clara scolded Lucas to the point his face turned crimson. After a moment, I stepped in to stop her. Enough. Clara threw one last sideways glance at Lucas, huffed, lifted her chin, and strutted out of the classroom. Seriously? Clara was talking to Ethan. What's it got to do with you, Lucas? No one asked for your opinion. He was basically asking to get roasted. The laughter and mockery from the class made Lucas clench his fists. I lowered my head, uninterested, and continued reviewing my test paper, but I could still feel Lucas shooting me glances from the side, no longer filled with gratitude, but with growing bitter resentment. Chapter 4. Lucas, is there anything you don't understand lately? It's been a while since you asked me about any problems. Just before heading home after school, I asked Lucas. His hand, mid-motion while packing his bag, paused for a second. Then he forced a light tone and replied, There's nothing I need help with anymore. He pulled a bitter smile at the corner of his mouth. Besides, no matter how hard I try, I'll never beat you, Mr. Number 1. Ugh, he's totally provoking our Lucas on purpose. What a show. Off. Go ahead. Bask in your glory now. Everything you have will belong to Lucas soon enough. Let's see how smug you'll be then. Can't stand these spoiled rich boys. What do you even know about Lucas's struggle? You think being born at the finish line gives you the right to look down on the rest of us? Reading the bullet comments, I finally understood. They were just like Lucas, envious, bitter, unable to stand seeing someone doing better than them. That's why they supported Lucas without question. But still, in the end, I wanted to pull this brother of 3 years back from the edge. Lucas, the things you earn through your own efforts. That's what you can truly rely on. Shortcuts always come with a fall. There's still time left. Give it your all. A bright future is still waiting for you. Enough, Lucas shouted, slamming his backpack hard on the desk. What gives you the right to lecture me? Born at the top of the pyramid, do you have any idea what it's like for people like us? Talking about hard work like it's that easy. Ethan, even if I gave everything I had, I could never catch up to you. He grabbed his bag and stormed out of the classroom without looking back. I stared deeply at his retreating figure and murmured to Lucas, "This is the last time I'll warn you. The choice is yours. If you insist on making the wrong one, don't blame me for casting aside our friendship." Chapter 5. Ethan, I wasn't in a good mood yesterday. Don't take it personally that I was just talking nonsense. The next morning, as soon as he walked into the classroom, Lucas came up to me with a big grin, trying to explain away what had happened the day before. I nodded slightly, signaling that it was no big deal, that I hadn't taken it to heart. He slung an arm around my shoulder. I knew my buddy Ethan wouldn't hold a grudge, but he had no idea just how fake that smile looked on his face right now. The bell rang. Our homeroom teacher walked in, and Lucas quickly sat back down and composed himself. 3 days from now, Peking University will be selecting a group of top-performing students for a mock exam. Those with outstanding scores may even be offered early admission. If anyone in class wants to participate, you can sign up now. The teacher looked directly at me that it was obvious he wanted me to join. I raised my hand. "Sir, I'd like to take the exam." He nodded in approval and then glanced around the rest of the class. "Anyone else?" No sooner had he finished speaking than Lucas shot his hand up eagerly. "Sir, I want to take it too." The teacher looked at Lucas and furrowed his brows. He hesitated for a moment, then said with some reluctance, "Lucas, this test was prepared by experts from Peking University. It's even harder than the actual college entrance exam. I think it's best if you focus on preparing for the Gaokao." Lucas bit his lip, clearly holding back frustration. "Sir, are you saying I'm not good enough?" His words backed the teacher into a corner. Afraid someone might accuse him of discriminating against a student, the teacher fumbled. No. I just meant we should focus on where we can do our best." Ugh, I can't stand this teacher that lifting one student up just to put another down. What makes you think our Lucas can't handle it? Exactly. No one can stop Lucas from participating. This is his first swap out. He's going to steal Ethan's test performance and make the Peking University professors see his true potential. Yes, that way, when Lucas uses the second swap out to take Ethan's actual Gaokao score, it'll look justified. He'll even get accepted by that famous professor and become their most promising student. And just like that, it all clicked. So Lucas's 3 swap outs would be: 1 for the Peking University mock exam, 1 for my Gaokao results, and the last for my family. I looked at Lucas, his eyes slightly red, playing the part of the wronged victim. I asked him quietly, "You're sure you want to do this?" Lucas turned to me and nodded without hesitation. Looking at him, so determined to take everything I had, I thought for a moment and then raised my hand again to speak to the teacher. "Sir, let Lucas take it if he wants to try." The teacher had been searching for a way to gently talk Lucas out of it, something that wouldn't hurt his pride. But since I had already spoken on Lucas's behalf, he finally relented. I turned to Lucas, who was now visibly excited. "Lucas, don't pressure yourself too much. Just give it a try." "Ethan, I'm going to do my best. Who knows, maybe I'll beat you this time. You'd better be careful not to fall behind." Lucas's voice was full of confidence, and I caught a trace of coldness flashing through his eyes. Chapter 6. At lunch in the cafeteria, Lucas naturally came to sit next to me. Just then, Clara showed up with a few of her girlfriends and walked over. "Ethan, I heard you signed up for Peking University's early entrance exam." I nodded as I continued eating. "Yeah, I want to give it a shot." Clara, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world, added, "This test was basically made for you. If you're saying it's just a try, then no one else even deserves to participate." At that moment, Lucas suddenly slammed his chopsticks down onto his tray. "I signed up too. I don't think there's any reason I shouldn't." Clara glanced at Lucas's self-assured expression and let out a mocking laugh. "You? And you're not even embarrassed saying that out loud." Lucas's face flushed with anger, his neck turning red as his chest heaved with frustration. "I'm not joking. And I believe this time I'll score better than Ethan." Clara burst into laughter. "That's the funniest thing I've heard in my entire life." "Lucas, who gave you that confidence?" "Joan of Arc." Lucas's eyes darted slyly before he tried goading. "You don't believe me? How about we make a bet?" Clara glanced at him with disdain. "What's there not to believe?" "Sure, what are we betting?" Lucas responded immediately. If I pass the exam and score better than Ethan, you agree to be my girlfriend. And if I fail, then I'll call you Grandma whenever I see you and stay at least 10 feet away. Clara agreed without hesitation. Deal. But she didn't notice the gleam in Lucas's eyes. Possessive, greedy. I tapped my fingers lightly on the table. All right, enough. We're not kids anymore. Stop being childish. Only then did Clara and Lucas sit down and eat their food quietly. But the small smile tugging at the corner of Lucas's lips made it clear he wasn't calm inside at all. Maybe I stared at him too directly, because Lucas quickly wiped the grin off his face and leaned in to explain softly. Ethan, don't take it the wrong way. I just can't stand how Clara always acts so high and mighty. I wanted to knock her down a peg. Everyone knows you and Clara have been engaged since childhood. I wouldn't dream of trying to steal her from you. And anyway, there's no way I could score higher than you, unless a miracle happens. I didn't respond. I simply turned back to my tray and continued eating, but I still heard Lucas mutter to himself in a low voice, followed by a dry chuckle. In this world, anything can happen. I, Lucas, am going to create a miracle. Chapter 7. Today was the day the early entrance exam results were to be released, and the bullet comments had already started flying wildly from early morning. Get ready. Our boy Lucas is about to slap someone in the face. Haha. This might be a small step on Lucas's road to success, but it's a giant leap in changing his destiny. Popcorn and soda ready. I can't wait to see Ethan's face when he realizes what just happened. They were all eagerly anticipating the moment Lucas would swap out my results, rise in glory, and utterly humiliate me. Ethan, how are you feeling? Results are almost out. Think you've got it. Before our homeroom teacher arrived to check the results, Lucas leaned in close, fishing for information. I think it went fine. Hearing my confident answer, Lucas let out a long sigh and smiled from ear to ear. Hey, Ethan, I felt pretty good about this one too. Who knows, maybe I actually beat you this time. When you lose your first place, don't get too upset, okay? I waved a hand casually. If your score really is better than mine, then it's thanks to your hard work. Why would I be mad? Lucas scratched his head and gave a sheepish laugh. Yeah, all hard work, of course. LOL. Watching Lucas mess with Ethan is hilarious. Can't wait to see Ethan break down crying while Lucas comforts him. And Ethan might even thank him for it. The bullet comments were buzzing with excitement, already celebrating Lucas's supposed win. All right, who wants to check first? The homeroom teacher walked in and booted up the computer to pull up our results. Let Ethan go first. We can start with the good news, Lucas said, pushing me toward the front. I stepped up and gave the teacher my exam number. The network loaded slowly, and then the page appeared. Every subject listed followed by a massive 0. The teacher had just taken a sip of tea and promptly spit it all over the screen, eyes bulging wide in disbelief. Ethan, 0 points. I glanced to the side. Lucas was doing his best to hide the grin creeping up his face, but the corners of his lips were still lifting. I thought he just wanted to swap our scores. I hadn't expected him to completely destroy my result, to nail me to a pillar of shame and ruin my image in front of the Peking University examiners. Ethan, how could you possibly? I'm sorry, teacher. Maybe something went wrong during the test, but I accept the result. I remained calm and composed. The teacher, clearly distressed, started trying to help me out. Should I contact Peking University and have them pull up your test sheet? I shook my head. No need to trouble them, sir. But Ethan, this is a rare opportunity. Sir, Ethan already said he accepts it. Lucas interrupted, seizing the moment to cut the teacher off. You can let it go. You haven't checked my score yet. The teacher had no choice. With a glance of helplessness toward me, he turned back to the computer and began typing. Ethan, it's okay. One slip up doesn't define you. You're a top student. The real college entrance exam is still ahead. Everyone stumbles once in a while. Don't let it get to you. I nodded nonchalantly. Lucas, seeing that I showed no reaction, none of the frustration or heartbreak he was hoping for to highlight his triumph, finally smacked his lips and turned his attention back to the screen. Lucas, your result, also 0. The homeroom teacher sprayed out another mouthful of tea, this time fully ashamed. Both students he had personally recommended had scored 0. This can't be. How is this possible? Lucas's face went pale with panic. He suddenly shoved the teacher aside and rushed up to the computer. frantically refreshing the page over and over again. There must be a mistake. There has to be a mistake. 0? No way, he muttered over and over, frantically tapping the mouse as if doing it faster could change the result. But the screen didn't budge. It still showed 0. Lucas, it's okay. One misstep doesn't matter. There's still the college entrance exam, I said, throwing his own words from earlier right back at him. Everyone stumbles once in a while. Don't take it to heart. Ethan, this is your fault. What did you do? Lucas turned and grabbed me by the collar, yelling in a rage, teeth clenched. Lucas, what are you saying? I don't understand. I spread my hands in mock innocence, as if I truly had no idea what he meant. That's enough. The teacher quickly pulled the two of us apart. Scoring a big fat 0 isn't enough that you want to start a fight too? Only then did Lucas, eyes bloodshot and full of hatred, finally let go. What am I supposed to do with you two? Just look at this mess. He was about to launch into a lecture when his phone started ringing. Rolling his eyes at both of us, he answered the call. Yes, principal. Yes, they're here. Understood. I'll send him over. After hanging up, he pointed at me. Ethan, someone's looking for you in the principal's office. Go now. Chapter 8. After returning to the classroom from the principal's office, Lucas sat there alone, silent. People around him kept glancing his way, then lowering their heads, whispering and letting out bursts of laughter. He actually signed up for the exam himself and scored a 0? What a disgrace. He really overestimated himself. I mean, Ethan also got a 0, but that was clearly due to some sudden accident or unexpected situation. But Lucas said it was an accident too. Yeah, right. Who would believe that? Lucas's face darkened with anger, his hands tightly clenched in his lap. This isn't how the plot is supposed to go. Why hasn't Lucas made his comeback? What's going on? How did he end up neck and neck with Ethan? No idea. Let's keep watching. I pressed my lips together and smiled. Just wait, bullet comments. You're never going to see the scene you're hoping for in this lifetime. Seeing me return, Lucas forced a strained smile. Ethan, you're back. What did the principal want to talk to you about? I shrugged. He just wanted to ask what happened with my score this time. Yeah, Ethan. How did you end up with a 0? Lucas asked anxiously, clearly eager to know the reason. Deep down, he had a sinking feeling, like things were slipping further and further out of his control. On the day of the exam, I ate something bad. I had a stomachache and was dizzy the whole time, so I ended up writing my answers in the wrong sections. In some places, I was so out of it I scribbled barely legible masses. I sighed and put on a helpless expression. After hearing that, Lucas seemed even more frustrated, as if a breath of air was stuck in his chest. After a pause, he mumbled, Ethan, you've got to be careful. The college entrance exam is critical that you can't let this kind of thing happen again. I nodded repeatedly. You're totally right. I've got to be more careful. No more random eating. What a waste of such a good opportunity, Lucas said, no more. He was also afraid I'd ask why he scored a 0 too, and about his embarrassing outburst in the office. He wanted to sweep the whole thing under the rug. But Clara had no intention of letting him off the hook. Chapter 9. Well, isn't this the shameless Lucas who bragged about making a stunning debut? I'll admit that you sure did make a splash. Just in a very unexpected way. The moment she stepped into the cafeteria, Clara raised her voice for all the students to hear. Clara, it was just one exam. Mistakes happen. Ethan also got a 0. Lucas struggled to defend himself. Hey, I've said it before. What do you have to compare with Ethan? Ethan got a 0 because he chose not to take it seriously. Ask anyone here who really believes it was because he lacks ability. The surrounding students all cooperatively shook their heads. No one believed that I, someone who always ranked first in the city, got a 0 because I didn't know the material. And even if Ethan didn't get admitted early, he'd still have no problem with the college entrance exam. Can you, Lucas, guarantee the same thing about yourself? Clara pressed on, firing her words toward Lucas relentlessly. Clara had always been a spoiled heiress who never let anyone off the hook lightly. Sometimes her ruthlessness even made me shudder. Why not? Anything's possible in this world, Lucas shot back at her, unwilling to back down in the slightest. All talk, just empty bravado. Forget about the future. Let's settle our bet right now. What are you supposed to call me? Clara didn't care if Lucas's dignity was about to be trampled. She wanted him to honor the wager right there and then. Lucas scanned the room, searching for any chance to slip away, But the students who had gathered to watch the drama had already sealed off the area tightly, not leaving even the smallest gap. Clara, show some mercy. We might have to see each other again in the future. Clara looked utterly disgusted. Every time I see you, I feel sick. Who wants to see you again? Just say it. Lucas, that are you a man or not? Can you keep a promise or not? With nowhere to escape, Lucas reverted to his former self from back in freshman year, head hanging low, muttering angrily under his breath, "Grandma." Clara beamed with satisfaction. What did you say? Speak up, who can hear you talking like that? Lucas suddenly looked up and shouted, "Grandma, okay." And with that, he shoved his way through the crowd and stormed out of the cafeteria. Chapter 10. When I returned to the classroom, I saw Lucas sitting with his head lowered, furiously scribbling something in his notebook. As I passed by and glanced down, I saw the pages full of, "You bitch. One day you'll be kneeling in front of me. Sooner or later, you'll be begging me." At that moment, the bullet comments popped up again, expressing sympathy for Lucas being bullied by Clara. Poor Lucas. It's all Ethan's fault. Why couldn't he just take the exam properly? Exactly. Now Lucas's reputation is in ruins because of him. No worries. Lucas still has 2 swap outs left. Ethan's doomed. The truth is, Lucas had been constantly dancing back and forth in front of Clara, desperately trying to get her attention. In the end, when he failed and got humiliated, somehow I became the scapegoat. Well, those bullet comments say a lot about the people posting them. As Lucas saw me approaching, he quickly closed his notebook and forced a smile that looked worse than crying. "Ethan, you're back. Just a few weeks left until the college entrance exam. How's your revision going?" I've got everything under control. Nothing's going to go wrong." Seeing how confident I was, Lucas hurried to advise me. "Still, you shouldn't let your guard down. What if something like the early admissions thing happens again?" Watching Lucas, who seemed even more concerned than I was, I knew he hadn't given up yet. He had clearly made up his mind to swap out my exam score. The accident with early admissions won't happen in the actual exam. I tapped my temple. After all, that knowledge is already carved deep into my brain. What you truly learn will always be yours. Otherwise, the truth will slip out eventually. Don't you think, Lucas? I gave him a subtle warning. Lucas's eyes flickered, and he gave an awkward laugh. You're not wrong. Still, better safe than sorry. Gotta strengthen and consolidate to avoid unexpected issues. Chapter 11. Lucas was so afraid something might happen to me during the college entrance exam that, despite his financial struggles, he actually took it upon himself to cover all my meals, just to make sure I wouldn't get food poisoning again. Whenever I so much as got distracted in class, he'd immediately tap me on the arm to refocus my attention. It felt less like having a classmate next to me and more like sitting beside a homeroom teacher. On the final day before the exam, as we were about to part ways, he pulled me aside and earnestly advised, "Ethan, I know you're smart and capable, but don't get cocky. Plenty of people have stumbled in the final stretch." I nodded casually, amused, and said, "You be careful too. You may not quite be peaking university material, but you should have no trouble getting into another good school." After hearing that, a strange smile crept onto Lucas's face. "Don't worry, Ethan, that we're brothers, right? If you shine, I shine. If you fall, I fall too. As long as you ace the exam, I'll be fine." He waved and walked away. I watched his back, my gaze sharpening. "Lucas, if you screw yourself over, don't go blaming anyone else." Then came the excited bullet comments again. "Ho ho, the climax is coming. Ethan, you're done for. The side character's about to exit. Just one final scene left in a few years." I smirked. "You all want a show? Fine, I'll give you a damn good one." Chapter 12. Right after the college entrance exam ended, Lucas immediately called me. "Ethan, how did it go? Nothing went wrong, right?" After asking multiple times to confirm everything had gone smoothly for me, Lucas finally hung up, only after insisting we return to school together to check our scores. Time flew by. On the night before the scores were released, we were all back at school, gathered in the homeroom teacher's office, waiting to check our results. As soon as midnight strikes, "Ethan, this time, my score is definitely going to blow your mind." The moment he saw me, Lucas started showing off. "I already estimated my score this time. Peaking university is no problem for me." "Well, that's amazing, Lucas." I played along with his boasting, and he became even more smug immediately, turning to brag to the classmates who used to look down on him. I just quietly stared at the clock on the wall, waiting for the arrival of midnight. As the clock struck 12, everyone who had been half asleep moments before suddenly perked up and rushed over to the homeroom teacher. "Teacher, check mine first. My exam number is." One by one, the results came in. Some were overjoyed, others disappointed. In the end, only Lucas and I were left. Just then, Clara, who had checked her results in the next room, came over too, clearly waiting to see my results. I stepped forward and entered my exam number myself, not hiding anything. The screen loaded. Ethan 0. Just like in the early admission test, a row of zeros followed each subject. "Oh no, Ethan. What happened? How did this happen again?" Lucas put on a fake sympathetic face and gave me a few words of comfort before pushing me aside and eagerly typing in his own exam number. "Open your eyes, everyone. Get ready to witness greatness. It's coming. Lucas's score is about to drop. You haters prepare to tremble and worship our Lucas." Even the bullet comments were getting hyped along with Lucas. But in an instant, the screen silenced them all. Lucas 0. Exactly the same zeros across the board. How could this be? How could this happen? Lucas stumbled back and fell to the floor. "Lucas, are you okay? Hang in there." I pretended to help him up while leaning my head close to his ear. "Lucas, well, surprised? Do you like the little gift I gave you?" Chapter 13. This was all your plan. Lucas shoved me aside, eyes wild with fury. "You knew it all along, didn't you? You set this up both times." In front of our classmates, I calmly brushed the dust off my clothes. "Looks like Lucas is a bit rattled. I mean, it's the college entrance exam that we all know I don't have the power to set things up." The contrast between us couldn't have been more striking. Same zero score, but I was calm and composed, while Lucas was losing it completely. His outburst earned him another round of scornful looks from the others. "Why would you do this? You dragged both of us down. Nobody wins." Lucas completely ignored the watching students and continued shouting at me like a madman. "Sigh. Teacher, didn't you already explain it to him?" I glanced at our homeroom teacher, whose expression was hard to read. The teacher shook his head. "You asked me to keep it secret to avoid upsetting the others, so I didn't say anything." I feigned sudden realization. "Ah, right. Sorry, teacher. That was my mistake." Then I pulled out a letter from my pocket, a recommendation letter from a professor at Peking University. That early admission exam, where I got a 0? Well, it was because I wrote all the answers on the scratch paper. I didn't write a single answer on the actual exam sheet. At the time, I figured I'd just give it up, but who knew the professors at Peking University would be so meticulous they went back, checked my scratch paper, and realized I deliberately dragged out my words. Locking eyes with Lucas, who was seething with hatred, I added, "My answers were perfect scores." When I went to the principal's office that day, it was to speak with the Peking University professor about it. I waved the letter in my hand. So during the college entrance exam, I didn't even bother to answer because Peking University already promised to admit me. Lucas lunged forward, trying to snatch the letter, but the other students quickly stopped him. Clara didn't miss the chance to mock him. "This Lucas is something else. He's been obsessed with comparing himself to Ethan, even though the gap between them is light years wide." Lucas still struggled, shouting, "Ethan, why did you do this to me?" "Me? You think I ruined you?" I finally dropped the act, my voice sharp. "I treated you like a brother since freshman year. Everyone here saw how I looked out for you. But what about you? What did you do?" Lucas's eyes burned with hatred and envy. "Don't give me that brother crap. All you ever did was throw me crumbs out of pity. I've never accepted that you had everything from the start. If I were in your shoes, I'd be even better than you. Don't get cocky, Ethan, that you don't know anything. I still have a trump card. Everything you have. It all belongs to me." Chapter 14. Lucas roared like a madman, eyes filled with determination. Yes. Lucas still has one last swap out left. This is a final comeback. Ethan, get ready to simp and grovel like the side character you are. Even now, the bullet comments were rooting for him. As I looked at Lucas, a flicker of anticipation flashed through my heart. System, I want to swap out Ethan's family. I want to replace Ethan. After shouting that, Lucas let out a triumphant laugh. I was planning to wait until I got into Peking University to see if there was an even better family to swap with. But now that you've ruined everything, I'm dragging you down to the bottom with me. Ethan, your parents, your fiancée Clara, They'll all be mine from now on. With that, he shoved aside the stunned classmates and threw his arm around Clara. He knew, after this, there would be no more Ethan's family, only Lucas's. But Lucas didn't see the reaction he wanted on my face. No panic, no fear, just a look of relief as though a weight had been lifted. Lucas, I told you once, anything given to you by others never truly belongs to you. And there's always a price to pay. Even a family. I looked at him with calm eyes. So thank you, Lucas. Thank you for setting me free from that burden. Lucas's pupils shrank. A wave of dread swept over him. What do you mean by that? But before I could answer, the office door slammed open with a bang. Young master, bad news. The Business Bureau and Tax Authority are auditing the family business. Stock prices are crashing. A middle-aged man, my former driver, rushed in and grabbed Lucas by the arm. Your parents told me to pick you up immediately. We need to go home and figure out a solution. Lucas shoved the man's arm off in disbelief, trying to convince himself it wasn't real. No way. I just swapped into this family. How can they be in trouble already? I shrugged. This is the family you were so envious of. Well, now it's your mess to clean up, young Master Lucas. Lucas gritted his teeth at my lightly mocking tone. Don't be smug, Ethan. I'll figure something out. He turned and grabbed Clara. Clara, you're my fiancée. My family's in trouble. Can your family help us out? But to Lucas's disappointment, Clara shoved him away in disgust. Get off me. Who the hell is your fiancé? Our engagement was just a strategic alliance. Two powerful families coming together. But now your family's going bankrupt? Don't even try to claim ties with me. I watched the two of them struggle, then slowly applauded. Lucas, did you really think Clara was clinging to me because she liked me? It was all about benefit, advantage, profit. Now you finally see the cost of taking what you didn't earn. The bullet comments exploded. No wonder the system waited until Lucas finished college to swap into Ethan Chen's life. It was hiding the bankruptcy twist. So originally, it was Ethan who pulled the Chun family back from the brink. This explains why Ethan and Clara had a childhood engagement but never actually got married. Chapter 15. Lucas was forcibly taken away by the driver, and the students who had come to check their scores gradually dispersed. I walked alone in the dark, heading toward the school gate. As I looked up at the twinkling stars in the sky, fragments of the past played out in my mind. Dad, I want to learn painting, study literature. I don't want to study science. No. The Chun family business will be yours to manage one day. That you must study science and business management. Painting is a lousy pastime, not something someone like you should waste time on. Dad, please stop hitting me. I was wrong. Ethan, if I catch you drawing behind my back again, I'll break your hands. Ethan, don't blame your father. You were born into this family. This is your fate. Tell me the truth. What's going on with that girl? Why is she always around you? She's just a classmate. She asks me questions about homework. You're overreacting. Ethan, you need to understand. We were engaged as children. Our lives are tied together. I already spoke with that girl that you won't be seeing her again starting tomorrow. Clara, that's too much. Whether it's too much isn't the point, Ethan. Our relationship isn't about feelings. If you don't want me to ruin her life, then stop trying to see her. Forget her, because I have 1,000 ways to destroy her. I closed my eyes as the evening breeze gently brushed across my face. Memories like smoke drifted through my mind, scene after scene, until they slowly faded away. I let out a long, deep breath. Starting today, the cage that trapped me has finally been shattered. I can now pursue everything I truly want. When I opened my eyes, the moonlight pierced through the night sky, lighting the path ahead. Without hesitation, I pulled out the letter of recommendation from Peking University and tore it to shreds. From now on, I'm living for myself. I can choose a different path. From inside my jacket, I slowly took out another admission letter and unfolded it. It read, École de Beaux-Arts, Paris. Chapter 16. Years later, I was invited back to the city to host an art exhibition. By then, I had become a rising star in the world of fine arts. After a round of socializing and formalities, I slipped out the doors, seeking a moment of quiet. That's when a ragged vagrant stumbled past me. At times, he burst out laughing. I won. I won. Everything you had is mine. Other times, he wept uncontrollably. It wasn't supposed to be like this, it wasn't. I swapped for everything I ever wanted. And sometimes he shouted like a lunatic, System, I want to swap out. Let me swap out. Pedestrians on the street gave him a wide berth, avoiding him like the plague. I stood there, watching as he gradually disappeared into the distance. Just then, someone gently draped a coat over my shoulders. Ethan, it's cold. Why did you come out without a jacket? What if you get sick? That familiar, caring tone. I turned around to see the figure who had once been forced out of my life. A warm smile bloomed on my face. Well, now I've got you to take care of me. See, I was only out here for a minute, and here you are with my coat. I pulled her tightly into my arms and kissed her deeply. Having you here makes everything worth it. She playfully punched me on the chest. Not in public, it's a street, you know. But the blush on her face betrayed the joy in her heart. Overhead, 2 chirping sparrows flew past, cheerful and unbound, just like the two of us now.